morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is Shelley Moore, and I've come back. And this time I'm not going to read you a story. I'm going to tell you a story. We are going to celebrate the fact that I just hit 100 subscribers. Woo, woo. Party with me. My daughter's in the car with me. We're telling this story to you from my car because we are currently parked in the town of Westminster, Massachusetts, which is where I used to live, which is where kind of the story takes. I was going to say this is where the story takes place, but technically, okay, there's a mountain and it's in Westminster and it's called my Ohio just came out. It's called Mount Wachusett, and it sits kind of halfway in Westminster and halfway in a town called Princeton. The story is about a little girl named Lucy Keys, and her family owned a house and a farm on the east side of the mountain, the Mount Wachusett, in Princeton. So close enough. But we just went there and took some video and so on and so forth for everybody. So I'll make sure that that gets posted with this. So Aubrey and I are going to tell you a story today, conversational style, about... Are you recording?
No.
She's playing with her phone. We're going to tell you a story, conversational style, about Lucy Keys. Now, this is one of my favorite legends/stories to tell. So if you've heard it before, let me just tell you that there is a new added twist that I didn't know until last night when I was kind of cleaning up and tidying up the research and the facts that I already have stapled into my brain forever. So, and ever. So the Keys family lives in Princeton on the mountain, Mount Wachusett. The father is Jonas. Nope. Wrong. Scratch that. It's because I just went to the cemetery to see Martha's grave, and right next to her is Jonas Keys, and so I thought that was the father's name. That's why I call him John or Jonas, but his name is actually Robert, according to Martha's headstone. So Robert Keys and Martha Keys have 3 girls. They have 3 children. They have Patty and Anna, who are the 2 older girls, and little Lucy, who is 4 years and 8 months old. Patty and Anna are, I think, 16 and 15, 16 and 14, somewhere in that range. Anyway, so one day on April 14th, 1755, Martha sends her 2 older girls down to the bottom of the mountain where there's a lake, Wachusett Lake, to collect sand, because back in 1755, sand was used as what, Aubrey?
I forget.
I literally just told you the story 20 minutes ago.
I know. How to clean the clothes.
Yes, it was a popular scrubbing agent back in those days for laundry. Good job, you pass.
I looked it up too.
So anyway, so she sends the 2 older girls down to the base of the mountain to the lake to get sand so they can do laundry. About halfway down, or at some point, the 2 older girls realized that Lucy, being the younger sister she is, decided that she wanted to follow them. And they're like, nope, go back home. They turn her around, make her go back home. So they finish collecting their sand. They get back up to the house. Martha says, hey, where's your little sister? They're like, oh, we sent her back up to the house. And turns out she's missing. And unfortunately, not to fast forward or anything, but Lucy is never seen or heard from again. She is gone forever. So here's the interesting part to this story. Not that that's not interesting enough, but the first theory that I had believed or that I had heard all this time was that Tilly Littlejohn, their neighbor, Tilly is his first name, last name Littlejohn. He was their neighbor, and it was reported that Tilly and Robert Keys had a long-standing land dispute over, their property lines. There's a rock wall that separates properties up here, and apparently that, one was moving it and the other one was moving it back, and that went on for a number of years. And so on his deathbed, reportedly, Tilly confessed to the murder of Lucy. On that day, he happened to find her wandering about his property on her little way back to her mom's house. And they're saying in an act of vengeance, he basically just killed her and buried her by the rock wall. Dun, 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 as Aubrey says. So that's sad enough as it is. But here's the second theory. Oh, hold on. Stop that train. Let me tell you. Let me tell you why that theory doesn't work. Because apparently Tilly Littlejohn wasn't even of legal age to own land at the time that this happened on April 14th, 1755. So they're saying he wouldn't have had a land dispute with Robert Keyes because he wasn't old enough to even own the land at that point. Now, I need to research further into this. I don't know if anybody has or not. From what we've found, between my daughter and I haven't seen anything yet. But it could be that maybe Tilly's his dad had a land dispute with Robert Keyes, and maybe Tilly killed the child, and, I don't know. But here's the second theory. The second theory goes, there's a story that two men from Groton, Massachusetts, which Groton is about maybe a 25 minute drive from this area. So it's, obviously would have been a much longer hike back in those days before automobiles were around. So it's said that these two traders, they were tradermen from Groton, encountered a white woman near the Canadian border, which is about 5 or so hours away from us, driving, mind you. And they encountered this white woman who was living among Native Americans at the time, and she didn't speak English, but the only thing she was able to tell them, is that she was from Wachusett Hill. Now think about it. If you're 4 years old, which was the last time she was over in this area, you wouldn't have said Wachusett, right? You would have said Wachusett Hill, and it's not Wachusett Mountain. You're saying Wachusett Hill. So that makes sense to me. That seems valid. That seems more of a viable answer as far as what happened, because police reports back from 1755 when it happened clearly state that Tilly was on record saying that Native Americans had been spotted in that area during this time. And you have to remember, back at that time also, 1755 again, natives and white men were in the middle of a very, very tumultuous time. I mean, just down the road, there's another place called Redemption Rock that Aubrey and I also visited today that I'll post some info on. But that is a scene of another crazy place. So I'm going to tell you about Mary Rowlandson and Redemption Rock, just very briefly, because it's actually a very long story. But Redemption Rock is just down the road from the Keyes, the cemetery that I went to in Mount Wachusett. And it's right, you can see the mountain almost from Redemption Rock. So you can certainly hike to it from Redemption Rock. So Redemption Rock is a very, very massive boulder with an inscription on the side of it that reads basically, on this day and so on and so forth, Mary Rowlandson, blah, blah, blah. And it tells about her writing a narrative about when she was in her settlement with her fellow peeps, and the Native Americans attacked. And she tells a pretty descriptive story of, seeing the Native Americans run spears through infants as they were suckling on their mother, nursing. And, it's just things that people of that time were not ready to read, basically. So you can read it for free online if you Google Mary Rowlandson and Redemption Rock. It comes right up, and there's actually a couple of different resources that have it where for you to read. It's not terribly long. I do recommend reading it if you're a nerd like me or like that kind of stuff. But I'm going to include the video of our little trip to Redemption Rock today too, because we used to go there all the time. I took my kids there pretty much 3 or 4 times a week growing up. It's just such a pretty spot to hang out, and not to mention historic. But when you're standing on top and you're looking straight down, I don't know, maybe 20 feet or so. I'm not good at estimates when it comes to measurements at all. But if I had to guess, like 20, I don't know, you'll see the video, so you can kind of guess for yourself. But it's really easy to access the top of it. I used to go there and have picnics. I used to go there and go for hikes. There's walking trails. But anyway, a lot of history in this area. So I hope you enjoyed my story of the Keyes family, little Lucy, and a little bit of Redemption Rock. Maybe I'll tell the Mary Rowlandson story in the next conversational recording that I make here. So I hope you have an amazing day. Thanks for hanging out and listening to me blab. I love you lots. Bye. Edit things out too. Oh, I already started. That's all right. Get the mountain. Hello. What was that? My phone. So I I am at Meeting House Hill Cemetery. It is fantastically spooky, wonderful. I've been here several times over the years, over the last 10 years actually. You can see it's very old. That would be my dog choking. No dogs allowed, he's got to stay out. So I pretty much remember where her grave is, but you can see these are very old. Very, very old. It's got such a creepy vibe, doesn't it? But I respect every single man, woman, and child that are in this cemetery. Because just like us, they lived full lives. Look at the size of that crow. Holy Moses. How wonderfully spooky is that? So I think she's over here. Look at them flying. Beautiful. Here we go. Look at that, right as we get to Martha's grave. In memory of Mrs. Martha Keyes, wife of Mr. Robert Keyes. I knew I was wrong. It's not John, it's Robert. Who died August 9th. It's my son's birthday. That's kind of odd. It's a new revelation. 1789, in the 69th year of her age. I can't really read the inscription beneath, but this is Mr. Jonas Keyes. So wait, is it John or Jonas? Oh no, that's why maybe I think it's John, because I've seen this Jonas here before. Maybe brother, if I had to guess. Oh, let me show you something else real quick while I'm over here. There's an old stone foundation to a house, maybe. It's spectacularly creepy. Hope my daughter's okay. I left her with the dog on the other side. So can you see it back there? Can't really get to it, but I could if I started jumping over things, but it's pretty cool. A headless, oh look at this. Look at this. That's just a shame. I wish I had some glue. It was. We came up here all the time.
I'm Simba.
Don't you jump, Daredevil.
This is my mommy fight.
It is a far jump. Makes my knees weak.
Like that.